Well, it's time. I've been in the dark forest for over a year now, and finally, it's time for me to build my first farmyard. Been a long time coming. I'm sure the locals will be happy now my equipment isn't scattered around the roadside. I've been lucky, really. If it wasn't for this old barn already being here, I probably wouldn't have been able to find a shelter as big as this for all my stuff. It's time to really lay the foundation of my farm here. I've waited long enough. Time for the locals to know that I'm serious when it comes to this land reclamation idea. The barn has been here a long time, but it's still strong, if not a little overgrown. Got some scrap to get rid of, but that's fine. Got a plan for my wee farm. Winter is round the corner, so no better time to do it. So, let's get to work. Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of my Land Reclamation Survival series on Farming Simulator 25. If you're watching for the first time, hello, my name is TheCouchFarmer, and in this episode, we are tasked with finally constructing a working farmyard. I've waited long enough, and I can't keep all my equipment scattered all over the road forever. Last episode, we made an ever so convenient find whilst clearing the brushland for our field. This lovely old barn. It's a little overgrown right now, but that's okay. I got a chainsaw and a forestry mulcher, so we'll get the job done. Alright, winter is coming, so we only have a couple of hours of solid daylight. No time to lose. Let's get started. Okay, well, first thing I want to do is clear out some of these bushes so I can see what's what. Got a fair amount of trees to clear. I want some space either side of the barn for some of the bigger equipment that will be fine to set out in the elements over winter, at least for this year. Will also be nice to have somewhere I can put my bales of silage and straw after the harvest. Alright, well, I'll clear some of these bushes for now, and then I have to go and see about the trailer, because it's been giving me a little bit of issues. Okay, so this trailer has been having some collision issues with the shed that's got the sawmill under it. For some reason, it won't go under, so we'll need to replace it. I do like the look of this trailer, but for right now I think I just need to get rid of it and replace it with something that will work. Try and find something that also looks similar, old, rustic. I like that look. Here we go. That's $6,540 for the old trailer. And that's pretty good. Found a decent replacement that looks just as used. It's cheaper too, only $5,540. So I actually made money from this, which is a surprise. But I prefer this look. You know, it'll work nicely. I like the rustic looks of equipment, especially when you're starting off. Yeah, this will do nicely. I like it. Alright, next step, I'm going to need more money if I'm to build this farm. So, I'm going to swing by the sawmill and sell what we've got, and we'll go from there. Alright, now, our sawmill. This construction job isn't going to pay for itself, and I wanted the job done right, so I've got to spend some cash. Planks are selling for 2,964 at the warehouse, so that is where I'll go. Alright, this sawmill is pretty good. In 1 month, it's processed 5 pallets of long planks, 6 pallets of beams, and 5 pallets of small planks. This should bring in a decent amount of money. Let's find out. Well, here we are at the warehouse. Time to sell our wood. Sold for $36,537. That's got to be my first real chunk of cash from one trailer load. Yeah, it feels good seeing all that hard work paying off. I'm happy with that, especially since most of that was from harvested tree stumps or wood from contracts. That's pretty good payday. Not bad. Alright, so I still have a fair amount of overgrowth to clear, so I've got to get stuck in and get this done. This might take me a while, so yeah, there's a fair amount of trees around this barn. Some of it has to go. Like I've mentioned before, I'm only going to harvest full trees that are in the way of something. And right now, since it's either side of this barn, it makes sense for me to take them. I might as well make use from them. Alright, so let's get to work. Okay, so the sun went down pretty quickly, but we managed to clear all the trees. We did all what we set out to do today, and I'm happy with that. And I managed to sell some of the logs for money because I'm going to need it. So it's time to rest, and we'll move on to the next month. Good morning, it's December. Got a call from Walter. He needs a hand getting the field on this side of the valley plowed. Said he'd pay me close to $4,000. Sounds like a good idea to me. We'll need all the money I can get, so the first job this morning, a bit of plow work. So let's get to it. Alright, nothing like the smell of freshly plowed dirt to start your day. Gives me an idea of what to do with the small patch next to the sawmill, actually. So, contract complete. That's $3,900 in the bank. Time to spend it on some construction. Alright, time to finally lay the path down and start making this farmyard into a farmyard. This is going to be fun. I hope. I hope you're having fun. Alright, so I'm kind of just going with the flow here. Laying path where I feel like it makes sense. I'm going to follow some of the outline that was already there. You'll see that some of the stumps are still remaining. I will have to come back and grind them out. But for now, I'll just start with the path work and we'll go from there. So, get comfortable, make yourself a cup of tea if you'd like, and enjoy the montage of all this construction work. Okay, path work done for now. Time for some grass work. Gonna replace the field texture that's already here. It's pretty bumpy. It's not fun to drive on. So I'm going to flatten it out by putting down some grass texture, and then I'm going to lay some meadow grass over the top of that, which will come in handy if I ever need more silage or more hay for any future animals that I may get down the line. I'm not going to rush into getting animals right now. Right now I'm just going to focus on harvesting the crop that we currently have, trying to expand the farm by buying the next very big plot that is south of the lake. That's mostly the other plot that the logging company, harvested most of their trees. And it is a vast space. So, lots of fun stuff in that area. But for now, try and make sense of this northern part. Yeah, so, finish the grass work. And then, I think I have an idea for that space to the side of the sawmill. I think I'm going to put in another field. Alright, let's get on with it. Alright, well, it looks like I'm running out of money, so I'll go to the sawmill and sell what we've got this month. Good numbers, actually. I'm really happy with that. Yeah, we got 7 pallets of long planks, 5 pallets of beams, and 7 pallets of small planks. And it looks like the market's probably the best place to go sell it for right now. Yeah, pretty good. We have more wood this time, so should be making a bit more money than the last. Yeah, which we'll put to good use. So, let's go to the market, sell this wood, and we'll go from there. Without tipping over the trailer would be a good idea. Alright, cue the time lapse. Here we are at the market. Brilliant. Let's get these pallets sold and we'll go from there. Ooh. $44,169. That will do nicely. And I got a $3,330 environmental bonus. How is it an environmental bonus if I'm taking trees out and selling it? I don't know. Anyway. That gives us money to continue with construction, and no better place to start than building bridges. I want a quicker route to the other side of the river from here, so we're going to need some bridges. This one will do nicely. This one's a little bit more expensive, but it's bigger. There we go, perfect. Alright, 2 bridges done. That will create a much faster path to the market than swinging around all the way that lake. Let's fill in the path here. And then, when I'm done with this, I'm going to make that new field. Alright, I'm just about finished getting rid of these bushes. That'll just get in the way from our path over the bridge. And I actually lied. I'm going to finish putting the construction work down first. Finish our grass work. Lay in the meadow grass. Then create the new field. So, another little montage. We're almost there. Okay, construction work currently complete. I think it looks pretty good. It's a little empty right now, but we'll fill it up as we play along. Right now, I think one of the first things I do need to do is get a decent sprayer. All my equipment haven't been washed in the entire year that I've had it, so desperate need of that. But we'll put this away for now because I'm only just about to make the equipment even more dirty. Okay. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it looks. I think this is going to work out pretty good. Pretty decent flow system. Space either side of the barn. Makes sense to me. Some big equipment outside. Most of the little equipment inside. Park my little red rocket over at the sawmill. I'm still not 100% sure that that's the best nickname to call it, but whatever. Alright. So, I got in the mood to plow from this morning, so I think it's time to create one more field in this area. And yeah, it's going to be at the side of the sawmill here where that space is. It's not going to be a big field, but decent sized. Don't know what I'll put in it yet, but for now, since I can't plant anything anyways, I'm just going to dig in, get it ready for planting season. And then I'll figure out what I want to put in it come spring. Alright, let's plow on. Alright, so I've got all these pallets of wood that need shifting in the future. So I'm going to need a pallet fork. I have been roughing it and using some incredible feats of strength to put it onto the trailer by hand, but as this is more realism, I'm going to need a pallet fork, which I just simply forgot about getting until now. Nifty thing about this one is the extra camera view. I'll try and put that some good use during this gameplay and try and not overdo it, but we'll see. I'm prone for overdoing. Alright, let's get this back, and then it's time for some proper field maintenance. here we go. So we're in desperate need of fertilization in pretty much all of my fields. From the looks of it, everything is in the red, so yeah, I'm going to need to spend a fair amount of money and get all this fertilized, and we'll go from there. I want to get a good yield, or as much yield as I can get from this harvest. So it definitely needs fertilized. Fertilizer isn't cheap. So I think in the future I'll have to look at options on how to save money. Last episode I planted oilseed radish. That saved some money, but I'm only able to put one layer of fertilizer on doing that. Might want to see if I can find a cheaper spreader. Maybe see if the animal dealer would be interested in selling me some of their manure. There's also, I mentioned before with the grass field, that grass rollers aren't working. They sort of are, which I just learned with the new precision farming. They don't add a layer of fertilization, which is what they used to do before precision farming. What they do instead is turn your field from the status of harvested just after you cut. If you immediately roll with a grass roller, it will switch to growing again instead of waiting a month and then go to growing. So that gives you that extra boost in time. So in theory, it gives you ready to harvest an extra month earlier. So I think that's in our future as well. That's one way that we can save some money from fertilizer, but definitely want to see if I can find a cheap manure spreader and see if it's cheaper to use that to fertilize. I don't know if it'll be more effective or less effective than using the fertilizer. There's always sprayers as well. They have the ability to put herbicide down and fertilizer at the same time, which is always handy. And they have functions that cost a fair amount of money that can save you all that stuff. So yeah, gotta do some research, gotta do some wondering, and gotta do some trials and errors, and we'll go from there and we'll see, you know. Let's have some fun while we're doing that. But I do like the idea of spreading manure. I don't know why. I think it looks good. I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, let's finish fertilizing as much as we can, and then we'll go from there. Maybe there's some contract work after, actually. We'll need to build the money up again if I need to buy a harvester at some point. So yeah, after this, some contracts, and we'll go from there. Alright, got a call from Walter. He's offering me 2 jobs, deadwood contract for 1,500, and he's also offering me just over $3,000 if I could pick up some wood and transport it and process it at my sawmill. Which is new. I never knew that you could do that, but here we go. Alright, took a bit of work, but managed to get all of the logs for Walter onto my trailer, which isn't a wood trailer, but whatever. I'm going to take it back to my sawmill now, and I'm going to process it for him for just over $3,000, which is not bad at all. Unfortunately, I won't be able to keep any of that wood. It doesn't actually transfer. I was hoping it did, but it doesn't. I've tried it before. So what we will do is replenish some of our wood stock by doing the deadwood contract as well, because I can put that into my sawmill, and that is the only other way, apart from harvesting tree stumps, that I'm going to fill my sawmill. As I've said before, I'm only going to fill the sawmill from wood from contracts or the stumps when buying new land, and clear trees from things that are in the way, like I did with the barn. So that's what I'm going to do. If at any point I don't do any contracts and I don't have any tree stumps, the sawmill will run dry. But that's the nature of the game. This is a survival series and I'm trying to take it seriously, so you know, it is what it is. That's how I want to play the game. Moving on. Alright, well, we're done with construction for now. Time to finally get all this equipment squared away. The neighbours will be happy, I'm sure. And as I'm doing that, I think I'll leave this episode here. I'm trying to reduce the time of these episodes, hopefully can make them shorter but more fun to watch. I'm still learning, trying out different recording, editing procedures and styles. So if you stuck with me, thank you so much, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching in general. I hope you like the concept of this Let's Play. I enjoy adding a little narrative element into it. I do wonder if future farming simulator games will add more adaptive story elements to their gameplay. Maybe even a story mode. We'll see. I doubt it. We'll see. If you've enjoyed this episode, who are you? Are you okay? Do you need help? I'm kidding. But if you have enjoyed this series, and you want to see more, please, like and all that stuff. If it so pleases you. If not, that's fine. Until then, I have been the Couch Farmer, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.